Hello, hello. Welcome to training number 4 of Generation Exit. We are weeding out the interested versus the committed, and I'm so excited to see some faces here with me live on a Friday night. If you're watching the replay, hello. We love you too. You're just not here with us live, but it's fine. Today is a training packed with the next step, the final step in Generation Exit. And this is a training that's, when you're focused on breaking chains, only the hardcore people are left. Yeah, we're real serious here. When you're focused on breaking, hi Candace, when we're focused on breaking chains, and changing your life and stepping out of what's normal and what's been comfortable and what everyone around you knows you to be, right? Things are gonna be different, right? People aren't really gonna love it. People don't love changes. People don't like when people change. People like to know the people that they know, and when they change into something different, they don't know how to operate. So tonight is a conversation about now moving forward, saying yes to the things that really light you up and being able to say no to the things that really don't light you up. When you're stepping out of generational norms and generational patterns and your own paradigms as well, and stretching yourself into really a new version of who you want to become and a new environment that's going to help, I want to say, fertilize that new version of you. You're gonna change. You're gonna start gravitating towards different kinds of people, different kinds of conversations. You're naturally just gonna lose interest in things that you used to do, conversations that you used to have, right? Speaking from my personal experience, when I really started breaking away and wanting to create something different, like a whole different friend group, I really wanted friends who were all in business and who were all chasing after life and had their own goals and their own aspirations. And I wanted to feel challenged and inspired by my friend group. And I remember when I declared that to myself, it was not a reality for me. You know, everyone around me and in past generations, everyone was still friends with their high school friend group or their college friend group. It's like they became geographical friends because they went to the same school, but like are they really friends? Like are they really supporting each other, lifting each other up, rising together? Like no, not really. But they more so just have things in common and they're hanging out together and drinking together and going to the bars together and doing all those sort of things together. And that just started not to interest me anymore. I wanted intentional friends, not geographical friends, as I call them. And what's so interesting is when you allow yourself to go on this journey, some of those friends do stay. Some of them are like, "Oh my God, I love what you're doing. Let's freaking go. Let's do this. Let's rise together." My best friend from high school and middle school is now on Team Sheroes. Like we work together. She's phenomenal. Camilla Diaz. She's literally the best thing ever. I love her so much, and she's brilliant, and she brings so much power to our team and to our vision and to supporting our clients. But for a little while, we strayed. Just natural. Nothing happened. It's fine. Like we just went our own paths. We were working on ourselves, right? She went on her path, I went on mine. And then boom, we rekindled. She's in my wedding. She planned my bachelorette party. She doesn't know this yet, but she's going to be the godmother of my baby, right? She's phenomenal. Things just grow apart and grow together as vibration and energy change, right? It's natural. But when you're caught in the cycle of no, these are the people that I know, like I need to maintain these relationships or else I'm a bad person or blah 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 blah, all these stories that I definitely had coming from a small town. I was definitely terrified to get out of those circles because I was like, who's gonna like me? Who am I gonna hang out with? What's my life gonna look like? Like, are they gonna judge me? Are they gonna make fun of me? Are they gonna think I'm a loser? Like, I don't know, right? And so what I shared with you guys was I just got the heck out of there. I just went away to college because I was like, you know what? if I can't recreate a friend group here, and if I'm not really getting what I feel like I need here, then I've really got to just drastically change my environment and go to a place where I can intentionally choose people and not just fall into a pattern with people. And that's what happened. And then when I came back from college, we were just different. Again, nothing happened between people. It's just we just went different paths. We developed differently. We got into different things. We built different interests, right? And you've got to have the courage to be able to step out of that, whether it be a friend group or a hobby that you're doing that doesn't serve you anymore, or conversations that you're having with family members, right? Like there's going to be some ties that when you go to step out, people aren't going to like it. People might get angry. People might be disappointed in you for them feeling like you're leaving them behind. But like you're not leaving them behind. This is the thing. You're just becoming the next version of yourself. And sometimes when you do that, people feel like you're leaving them behind, but you're not. You're not. You're like, I will teach you everything you want to know. Like, come with me. They're like, I don't even know what you're doing. Like, what are you talking about? You're like, okay, well, like, what do you want from me? Like, what? Either jump on the bandwagon or love me from afar. We don't gotta hate each other. We don't like just because we're not going down similar roads doesn't mean we can't love each other. But it does mean that like I'm just not interested talking about the things that we used to talk about anymore. And like, can that be okay? Can't we rise together and like challenge ourselves to talk about different things? And it's just most of the time the people that are around you just don't have that awareness to be able to say, yes, I understand. Let's go. Let's do this. Right? That's the difference. They just don't have the understanding. And it's not your job to make them understand. It's not your responsibility to make them understand. It's your responsibility to be a good person and to be kind and to be loving, right? And to be true to yourself. But it's not your responsibility to make people understand you or where you're going unless they're genuinely interested. Then I will tell you all about it and we can do this together. So we're going to move into talking about like how do you really do this, and how do you start saying yes to different things and start saying no to the things that you're used to saying yes to. People don't like change. And another thing that you might hear from people, right? I didn't have this, but I realized later that people did think this. I heard through the grapevine later that people did think this, but I never knew because I was just in my own world doing my own thing and I could care less about what people think about me, right? But you might hear like, oh, you're too cool for us now. You think you're too cool? You think you're too cool? You think you're all this in a bag of chips? Oh, what? You want to be a rich girl? You want to be a rich man? Why do you think you can do that? Like, you're hanging out with those people now? That's what you're doing? Oh, okay. And it's like, the hell I am. Like, what do you mean? Who are you hanging out with? What are they doing to add value to your life? If you could tell me 10 things as to why your friends add value to your life, just one, just three, I'm all ears, but I promise you, you can't, right? Oh, you think you're a big shot? Oh, what? You're making vision boards now? You're like attending online seminars, personal development, self-help. It's like, yeah, actually, actually I am. And it's amazing. So I don't feel bad about it, right? You've got to assume that you're the one, that this stuff is cool because it is, that you developing and growing into your next level is the vibe because it is, that you are actually going to make this happen because you are, and there's nothing that anyone can say that's going to take you off your path. The only reason people are going to attack you like this is if they feel like they can, because you're moldable. Because you respond, you react to it. You're affected by it. Listen, you've got to have your own strength from within. You've got to believe in yourself enough so that these little words from people with little minds Or unfortunately, like none of this is coming from a good place. Do we agree? People who say things like this is not coming from a kind, loving place. It's just not. Like you can't argue that. That's not love. I'm sorry. It's not love. It's not. It's not loving. It's not supportive. It's not genuine. It's coming from a passive aggressive, not very kind place. And I believe most people in the world are good, but there are people like this that don't want to see you succeed. And like, we've got to understand that. It just is what it is. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Not everyone is waking up yet, right? You've got to believe that you're the one. And then when people say things to you like this, if they do, which if you become the one and you believe that you're doing this and you're on this path and like there's nothing that anyone can say to you that would change your mind, you'll notice that this stuff doesn't happen. Like people don't say this stuff to you because they just feel that energetically you know what you're doing and you know where you're going. And they don't mess with that. They don't. But if you're one toe in the water, one toe out of the water, you're talking about all this stuff that you're doing, but they don't see it happening. You're more talk than action. Well, they're going to pick that apart. And dare I say, of course they're going to pick it apart because they're seeing a gap in what you're saying you are and what you actually are. So it's like, let's not talk about it. Let's be about it. Let's not tell them what we're going to do. Let's just do it. And let's just have them watch. Let's just let them watch. And if they're interested and they ask genuine questions, then we can point them in the right direction. We can rise together. But if they don't, it's fine. We don't need to convince them. We don't need to tell them. We don't need to announce it to the world. We just know where we're going and what we're doing. That's it. People don't like change. And it's likely that when you start doing these things and when you start saying yes and no to different things, people may not like it. I was talking with Dalton before this conversation, and we thought back to a book that we were listening to. It's actually Michael Jordan's autobiography, I think. We were listening to a podcast. And Michael Jordan did this fun thing that I wanted to share with you guys. That apparently my husband's been doing for a long time. And I just think it's a really great thing to have, that a tool to have in your pocket that I didn't really have when I was going through this little phase that we're talking about today. And that is using the words or the doubt that people have about where you're going as fuel. Michael Jordan is a pretty intense dude. If you ever study him, he's like extremely intense. If someone said that he couldn't do something, or if someone questioned him even for a second, even if they really didn't mean it, he would go in his mind and make it this big, huge drama and make it out to be the biggest deal ever and put a chip on his shoulder and use that as fuel to get better. Right. And so the way that you can use that in a fun way, right? We want to be fun with this. We don't really want to make them our enemy. But when people doubt you, right? When people are passive aggressive to you, when you can just tell that someone doesn't respect who you are yet, or when people are doubting you, instead of poor me, like they don't respect me, boo hoo, how do I gain respect? It's just like, okay, you're going to see. It's like, I'm going to show you. And you don't say this to them, but you just stockpile it away. Maybe you put a note section on your phone and you just stockpile it away. I almost died laughing because Dalton literally has like a list going. It's hilarious. It's amazing. You stockpile it away and you use it as fuel. It's like these people, and maybe they think you're actually amazing and they don't really think this, but this is what Michael Jordan did. He would just elaborate on it, magnify it, and use it as fuel. Like, oh, this person doesn't believe in me. I'm going to show them. Like, I'm going to show up harder. Next time I see them, I'm going to be earning double of what I'm earning now. Next time I see them, I'm going to have whatever, basketball terms. He was going to outperform. He was going to show them what he was made of. And so it's just a mindset shift, right? When this stuff starts coming at you, if it does, use it as fuel versus reasons as to why to stay the way that you've always been. They don't believe in me. Guess what? Having people's belief in you is not necessary to succeed. A lot of people don't have any support or any belief in them, and guess what? They choose to rise because they feel it inside. because they have a relationship with God, because they feel pulled, they feel called to something bigger. They don't need the validation from other people. They don't need the worldly validation of humans. They don't need it, and you don't need it. You just need to have a mindset shift and use it for yourself versus against yourself. Use it as fuel. So let's go back to making decisions and setting, it's not really boundaries in the way that we talked about it in Opulent Hearts, but it's boundaries. It's really like self boundaries. And this is another tool I'm going to share with you. Like think of a compass. Think of a compass, and your boundary compass, your self boundary compass really just has a north and a south, and it says yes or no. Right? A compass, yes or no. It's either pointing yes or pointing no. It's never pointing in a maybe or an I don't know. It's always yes or it's always no. And this is your guide. It's your guiding compass to set up boundaries for yourself, right? The way that I talk about boundaries with other people normally is a boundary is something that two people agree upon, or a boundary is something that you create for other people to have happy relationships with you. But the way that we're talking about it tonight is about you. It's a self boundary. It's a personal boundary. So no one else really needs to know about it. It's how you navigate your decision making of where you spend your time and where you don't spend your time. This is very important as you start to step out of your old patterns, family patterns, generational patterns, because again, you're going to be called to change things up a little bit. And when you're changing things up a little bit, you're going to have to start saying no to some things that you've always said yes to. And you're going to start saying yes to things that you never gave the time to because you were busy helping other people or doing other things that wasn't really helping you move forward. I'll give you a personal example. I love telling stories because I feel like when people tell me a story, I just never forget it. So there was an example of this is, so my sweet father, God love him, he loved shiny things. He loved toys and planes and cars and all the things. And personally, that stuff just really has never impressed me. I don't know why. I've just never been super impressed with like brands, or I think it's nice. I think it's cool. I like to look good. I like to feel good. I like to wear nice things. But those things never wowed me about a person, right? What would wow me about a person is how they carried themselves, how they operated, and how they felt in my energy. What they had never really did anything for me. So it would make sense that experiences like that didn't really do it for me either. Like going to drive exotic cars, not really my thing. The need to go on a private jet, I did it once. It's great. I love it, right? When we're balling big time, sure. But to just do it again for fun, like no. If it's not really aligned, no, not really my thing. Doesn't really impress me. I don't need to go. I can fly economy. Not now, I'm pregnant and it's terrible, but before I can fly economy, right? I don't care about these things really. They don't do anything for me. But for a long time, once I got into this world and I started growing, a lot of people in personal development and business, right, consulting, coaching, blah, 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 like they love these things and that's great for them. And for a long time, I would say yes to these kinds of things because I thought it made me look cool, right? So I would be like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And I'd go to these fancy dinners only to be at the dinner and be like, why the heck am I here? I don't even like this. Or I would go on these tours or these trips and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'd rather just be in my bed. Like, what's going on? Why did I say yes to this? And so I found myself just overextending myself, saying yes to things that society made me think is cool. But to Madison, it really wasn't that big of a deal. It didn't really light me up. And so, full circle, my dad decided to rent a private jet one time to go to Vegas. And he wanted the whole family to go on the trip. Well, not my mom's side of the family, but just different people in the family to go on this trip to Vegas. And it was for a birthday. And he invited, and he was so excited about this, and he was so excited to bring everyone, and he was like over the moon about it. And I didn't want to go. I just really didn't want to go. I don't like Vegas. I don't like drinking. I don't like strip clubs. I don't like drugs. Like, I don't like this stuff. I didn't want to go to Vegas. I don't like Vegas. It's not my scene. Unless we're going to the spa all day and then maybe a Cirque du Soleil show and a good dinner, I'm not going to Vegas. And I certainly don't care to go on a private jet the whole time. No, and have a photo shoot. It's just not my vibe. So I said no. He was very disappointed and upset because it meant a lot to him. But it was one of the first times that I just said no to someone who really loved me and to someone that I really loved and didn't want to disappoint. And it did disappoint him. He was disappointed. But I would have gone on that trip and I would have been so mad at myself for being there because I wouldn't have wanted to be there the whole time. I just decided to choose myself over something that was not going to make me happy, right? And so you have to be able to do this, because what happens when you say yes to experiences and things that you don't want to do? You go and you're a frog on a log and you're miserable and everyone's asking you what's wrong and you're not having a good time, and you get home and you're like, oh, I knew I shouldn't have gone to that. Like, it's a self-fulfilling doom prophecy. You know you're not going to like it. You say yes out of guilt. You go, you don't like it. You get home, you know you don't like it. You tell yourself, I knew I wasn't going to like this. And then you're mad at yourself for wasting your time. So, your compass, when it is a no for you, you just need to say no. It's clean. There's nothing wrong with saying no. When you say no to things that other people want you to do, yeah, they might be angry, they might be disappointed, and that is also not your responsibility to handle other people's emotions for them. It's not. You're actually hurting yourself more and the person more if you say yes and do something when your energy and heart is not in it. You don't help anyone when you do this. Okay? People can feel energy. And so if you say yes out of guilt and you go, and then you're not having the best time, what's going to happen? Who knows? I don't know. They're probably going to be like, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you having so much fun? And you're like, oh, I just don't feel well. Like, I just don't have the capacity to pretend like that. I just don't feel well. I'm going to go. Like, no, I don't want to go. I'm not going. Period. That's it. End of story. So it may be a big thing. It may be little things like family dinners or conversation. It may be you finding the courage to say, hey guys, love you all, but I don't want to have this conversation, getting up and leaving. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not being mean. You're not being rude. You're not being disrespectful. Everyone there knows that you're right. They might not want to admit it yet. But I just have no problem doing any of this stuff anymore. I care a lot about people, but I care more about living in alignment with myself and who I want to be as a person. And I'm not willing to surround myself with things or experiences that are not in alignment with my highest self. It's just a no for me, right? I'll give you a relationship example. There's a lot of like bachelor trips, right, that you go on in your mid-20s and 30s. And this never happened, but let's just pretend that it did. If there's a bachelorette trip that I go on, and there's a lot of single girls who want to go out and have a great time at a club or something, I'm not going. I'm not going. I don't like clubs. I don't like strip clubs. I don't like naked people moving around. It's not my vibe. It's not my thing. It's not respectful to my relationship and my marriage. I'm not going. They could be mad, they could talk bad, they could say whatever they want. At the end of the day, like, me living in alignment with myself, with my marriage, and with God is more important than me appeasing and pleasing other people. I don't play that game. And you've really got to develop this muscle for yourself. People will grow to respect you and understand you and operate well around you. Now, all of my best friends, guess what? They have the same policies. They have the same boundaries in their relationships. All my girlfriends, none of them go to strip clubs, none of them allow it, none of them go to clubs, like they're not big drinkers. We're all very much the same. We all respect each other's relationships and boundaries and standards and whatever the heck, and it's just known. Like there is a world where this exists, and people also respect what you've created for yourself and your boundaries and your standards. Because this is the thing, it's not like you're doing this just to be a snob or just to be like, oh, I'm better than everybody else because I have standards and boundaries. No, it's just alignment with your higher self and what you want for your life. That's it. It doesn't need to, it's not meant to hurt anyone. It's not meant to upset anyone. But I promise you, if you're around people who are not used to this kind of thing, they're not going to like it very much. And you've got to be strong enough to stand in your foundation for yourself. And what will happen is you will naturally start to attract people who are like more aligned with who you are, better friendships, better business partnerships, more exciting opportunities, more aligned opportunities with who you're becoming. And you'll start to naturally, by the law of attraction, you'll start to naturally stop attracting things that just aren't aligned with who you are. But if you're not consistent, if you're not singing the same tune and you're like, oh no, I don't want to miss out, so I'm going to go. Oh no, I don't want to lose them as friends, so I'm going to go. And you're constantly trying to fit in where you don't belong. I'm going to say that again. You're constantly trying to fit in with crowds that you do not belong to. You can fit in anywhere, but you don't belong everywhere. Okay? You don't belong everywhere. So if you want to attract the people and the vibe and the energy and the business and the clients that belong, which means they're on your frequency, on the frequency that you want to be on, then you can't have a wonky relationship with what you say yes to and what you say no to. Because if you have a wonky relationship with it, you're going to keep getting people who are not aligned with who you want to become and what you want to do and the lifestyle that you want to live. Does this make sense? This leads me to talking about how you cannot save people. You cannot save people, okay? And this is sad for my empathetic people. I am empathetic and I want to help. Hello, this is why I do what I do. I love people more than anything in the world. I see people only for their full potential, not for their limitations, not for their background, not for their age. Like it just does, it's never mattered to me. When I was 10 years old, I could have conversations with 70 years old, like I was also a 70-year-old. I've just never seen people for anything other than love and who they can become. With that being said, I also cannot save everyone, and neither can you, even the people that you love the most. The best thing that you can do for people who you love that cry out for help or complain that you're not helping them or need saving, the best thing that you can do is become and keep becoming the person that you're becoming right now, that you've committed to becoming, the chains that you've committed to letting go of. Keep on keeping on that trail, on that path, right? The best thing that you can do is stay stern in what you're a yes to and what you're a no to, so that they can learn the new you and they can learn how to operate around the new you, okay? They're either going to love it and come with you, or they're not going to like it and there may be some distance. Either way is fine. The worst thing that you can do in a situation where you feel like you need to help someone is enable them. The worst thing you do is pay them to come work with you or give them free stuff or help them in a way that you know they would never do themselves. This is enabling. This hurts them because it gives them a false sense of reality that things are getting better. Guess what? As soon as you disappear, their life goes back to the way that it was. I saw this when my dad died. Okay? And I'm gonna go serious Maddie here for a second. Sometimes I'm Lala and sometimes I'm let's freaking go. And this is let's freaking go mode. When my dad died, okay, I saw people who were very reliant on him and dependent upon him freaking flounder because they had been enabled and had a false sense of reality of what life was like because they were enabled by money and things that they shouldn't have had. There is a difference between gifting someone something from a place of gratitude and excitement and eagerness to give with no energetic attachment and enabling someone by paying them things or giving them things that you really shouldn't be doing or giving in hopes that they get better or stop complaining or you just fix the problem. Guess what? You are literally hurting them more than you're helping them. You cannot play God. That's playing God. Okay? People need, it's like the phrase, you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make it drink. People have got to raise their hands and ask for help and want to rise with you. That's a heck yes. That's like, let's go, let's do this together. You can feel the energy. Versus someone who just has their hands out and is complaining and crying that they don't have, 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 and all these things. And you're like, okay, well, here. Okay, well, come work with me. Okay, we'll come do this. Okay, we'll come get on my team. Okay, well, I'll pay for you to come on vacation with me. No. No. It's fine to say, hey, I'm going on vacation. I'd love for you to come. Can I pay for you? That's great. Hey, I've got a massive tax break and I got some money back and I want to give you $5,000 for Christmas. Great. Do it. That's amazing. I love that. But never from a place of, oh no, here you go. Unless there is zero attachment to it and it's coming from a genuine feel-good place of you wanting to help. I will never do any of those things from a place of guilt or feeling like I need to save someone because you cannot. Listen, you really need to hear this. You cannot. The best thing that you can do is love them, see them, hear them, stand strong in your boundaries, stick to your compass of what's a yes and what's a no for you, okay? They will learn, and eventually, after they see you being this strong, sturdy person for a long enough period of time, singing the same tune for a long enough period of time, they will either completely gravitate out of your life because they were never a match for you anyway and they shouldn't have been there in the first place, or they'll start asking questions and they'll show you self-leadership that they want to do this with you, that they want to learn. And at that point, of course you can teach. Of course you can help from a place of good. Of course you can show them the way, right? This is so important, especially for men. Especially for men. I watched my dad do this like his whole entire life. He had a bleeding heart. And you just can't save people. People will not change if they are enabled. And it's not your responsibility to change them. It's not your responsibility to save them. It's just your responsibility to be true to who you are. That's it. That's it, guys. That's really it. And you really need to get this one because it can secretly kill you without you even knowing. You start paying for these people to be around you. You start doing these things to appease people. Suddenly, you don't even know who you are anymore. Suddenly, you've got no money left. Suddenly, you're looking in the mirror like, who even am I? Like, what am I even doing here? I don't even know because everything about my life is about other people. It's a slippery slope. It's a very slippery slope. So you've got the first part of this, which is moving out of what's normal. You've got the tool of putting the chip on your shoulder, using people's, anger or disappointment or judgment of where you're going and what you're doing as fuel instead of a pity party for yourself. You've got the compass of what is a yes for you and what is a no for you. You want to start practice like feeling this in your body. Okay. If you're not used to this yet, and you're not really sure what your compass looks like or what's a yes for you and what's a no for you yet, start paying attention to opportunities that come across your plate. When someone asks you, hey, we're going over here, do you want to come? If it's not an immediate yes, or if you need to say, hey, let me think about it, like, oh my gosh, this was a game changer for me. Let me think about it. I'll get back to you. Do you guys know that you can say that? Because I didn't for a long time. Hey, do you want to come out to dinner? You don't need to answer right away. Let me think about it. I will get back to you. Hey, do you want to join my company? Let me think about it. I'll get back to you. Hey, do you want to go to Vegas? Let me think about it. I will get back to you. Because if you respond out of habit, you might just say, yep. And then later you're like, oh no, that was actually a no for me. Like, I really don't want to do that. And now I said yes, so I have to go. Just maybe practice this with anything that comes across your plate. Do a little experiment with yourself. No matter, even if you think it's an absolute yes right away, the next time something like this occurs, just do yourself a favor and say, thanks for the invite, or thanks for thinking of me. Let me think about it. I'll get back to you. And then really think about it and get back to them later. Practice it. You don't need to tell people what you're doing right away. And that'll give you some time to be able to actually discern what is a yes for you and what is a no for you, and really explore that. It's a beautiful exercise. When you start doing this, you guys, at first, and you've got to be willing you've got to understand how this process can work sometimes. Sometimes it can get a little bit, what some people might say, lonelier before it gets better. Sometimes it can feel like things are being taken away from you or you're losing things, but you're not, okay? You're not. Remember, as long as you are genuine in who you want to become, as long as you are kind, as long as it's coming from a place of love, as long as you are not hurting anyone and you are just setting your boundaries, following your compass, it's not your responsibility to deal with how other people respond to that. It's not your responsibility for their emotional stuff that is a reaction to your beingness, okay? People might not understand at first. It's okay. Remember that it's not required for them to understand you in order for you to be strong in where you're going. If they ask questions, you can answer, but don't explain your boundary. Don't explain why. Just say, I've decided to start saying yes to the things that really light me up and starting to say no to the things that maybe I'm not like super excited about doing. And you don't even need to say that. You can just say, I don't want to go. There's nothing about it. I love you. I love what you're doing. I don't want to go. And you don't need to lie and make up an excuse as to why you're not going. Just no. Like, no is an answer, guys. No is a statement. No. Not available. I'm not available. Period. Okay. So the play work from this evening, from this module, evaluate life, evaluate your self-boundaries. Really pay attention to where you've said yes to things and regretted it later. That'll be a good little indicator of where you could start saying no to some things. And ask yourself the question, where do you need to tighten up your self-boundaries? Where do you need to tighten them up? And good indicators for this question could be, where in life do I feel frustrated or overwhelmed? Because chances are, if you feel frustrated in an area, you're saying yes to too many things that are not the vibe for you. If you feel overwhelmed about something, it's possible, not of course, but it's possible that you're saying yes to things that are a no for you. And that's not the only reason people feel overwhelmed. Sometimes everything is a yes and we're just expanding and it's overwhelming. And that's normal. That's fine. But there might be something that you're saying yes to that is actually a no for you. And then examine past experiences, like I said, where you've said yes, and then you're like, ugh, I don't like that. Maybe things start coming to you right off the bat that you're like, I've been doing that for far too long, and the last 10 times I've gone, I didn't like it, and now it needs to be a no for me. Like, I need to stop playing around. It just needs to be a no for me. Maybe it's conversations that you're having, needs to be a no for you now. Hey, I just don't talk about this stuff anymore. How are you doing? What's going well in your life? Right? Bob Proctor he gave us this tip one time. He said, if ever someone's talking about something that you don't care to talk about, just say, oh, that's really interesting. What's going well in your life? Like, what? Oh, that's really interesting. What's going well? I do this with my sweet grandmother all the time. She is just so programmed to talk about everything negative under the sun, but I love her too much to set boundaries with her. So I call her, and I always know it's going to be the spew of negativity. And I just play a little game. And everything that she says that's negative, I'm like, oh, Nana, that's not good. What's going well today? What happened? What was good today? And she'll, well, this was good today, and it's fun and it's cute and it's playful and she means no harm and it's fun for me and I get joy out of it. And now our conversations are actually getting better. But there was never any confrontation because she's my Nana and she loves me so much. Right? And I don't yell at her. It's just a question. And over time, they start to notice. It's like, oh, okay, what's going well? This one, I'm like, whoa, Nana, I never would have known about any of that stuff that went well today if I didn't ask. Because you just tell me about all the negative things, right? Even with my own mom, right? I want, there's too many mothers and daughters on the planet that don't get along because of unspoken crossed boundaries or a lack of boundaries. It's crazy. Mothers and daughters, it's crazy, especially when children come into the mix. And so I've been very intentional with my mom as of late, as we, expect a new baby to enter the family with what's okay with me and what's not okay with me. And I'm never confrontational about it. I'm never mean about it. I'm never in a yelling to never anything like that. It's always from a place of love. Hey, mom, I get more joy when we talk about this, this, and this versus this, this, and this. So can we just agree to not talk about those things anymore? Or, hey, mom, every time we talk about this, it just doesn't really go well. Can we agree to just not talk about that anymore? Can we talk about things that we have fun talking about instead? And she said yes. Because energy doesn't lie. People know, like, and it's so refreshing when someone says that. It's like, wow, yeah, okay. People are not used to people thinking like this and caring about bettering relationships. Most people stay in the same relationship patterns with everyone in their life forever and complain about it forever. Me, I'm not willing to do that. I want extraordinary relationships with everyone that I love in my life. So because I care, I tell them. Like that, it's love. It's also biblical, by the way, to not tell someone how they can have a better existence with you, to not tell someone how they can better themselves or enjoy life more is not kind. It's actually not kind to not be honest and stand up for the relationship that you want to have with people. And it is coming from a place of love. It's, I love you more than anything. And I've noticed that when we talk about this, it doesn't go that well. Can we agree to not talk about this anymore? Yes. Sure. They're going to say, no, I want to keep talking about it and keep getting angry. Like, no one's going to say that. I want to keep talking about it and keep fighting about it. No. They're not going to say that. You got to care about yourself. You got to care about the people that you love and understand that all the things that we talked about in today's training come from a place of love, come from a place of alignment with your higher self. And the people will watch you do this and you will inspire them to do it for themselves. I promise you. It's an incredible thing. You're just going to become that person in their world that they want to be like, they aspire to be like, even if they secretly, even if they publicly don't like it at first, they're secretly going to be interested in it because it's not normal. Normal people don't do this. Okay. I hope this was everything and more. Thank you for attending Generation Exit. What a fun program. I'm so excited for other people to get their booties in here and watch the replays. If you guys have any questions at all, we didn't go into too much of the coaching hours that I wanted to, just because of attendance and the timing. But if you guys have any questions at all, please just comment them below the videos in the Facebook group, and we will get to them. You can ask the questions on WeRise on a call as well. We're more than happy to support you and want you to have a great experience and really embody and integrate these lessons. So until I see you somewhere else on the internet, be well and God bless and keep rising, you guys.